Signing bonuses are going out to teachers entering or returning to the education field, but why accounting experts say educators won't see the entire bonus in these checks. Plus, the holiday season's drawing near, and with it an increase in porch pirate thefts, how you can protect yourself from becoming a victim. And police find a man asleep inside the ceiling tiles of a local business, why he was there in the first place.
This is the Fox 25 News at 5.
State Superintendent Ryan Walters' teacher signing bonuses hit educators' bank accounts this week. The program's goal is to provide up to $50,000 to incentivize many into the classroom. Fox 25's Peyton May joins us now live. So Peyton, first of all, how do you even qualify for this bonus?
Well, Wendy, this only applies to teachers entering or returning to the industry after a gap. The bonus is only for this school year, but if you commit to teach in Oklahoma for 5 years, you could receive between $15,000 to $50,000. One teacher reached out to us, though, saying they felt shortchanged when they got their check.
Didn't really have any plans to go back to teaching before I heard about this bonus program.
A teacher who prefers to remain anonymous tells me he rejoined education strictly to qualify for Walters' $50,000 teacher bonus program, a tiered system based on how many years of experience you have and where you decide to teach.
So out of the $50,000 bonus, I actually got $29,000 and some change. The other $21,000 was withheld for taxes.
$29,000, a number far below what the math teacher was expecting.
I had done some napkin math trying to figure out, approximately what will the withholdings be? And this was far outside of even my most conservative estimate for how much they would take out.
Robin Walker, an accounting professor at Oklahoma City University, is weighing in.
So that would be subject to the Social Security tax or FICA and Medicare. And so that's going to be 7.65%. And then if you are in a state like Oklahoma, that's 4.75%. And then federally, there's a variety of rates and depends how the W-4 is filled out. And so that could be probably from 22 to up to 30% or so.
So it's not exactly abnormal to get around 40% taken out of your bonus.
No, that's not abnormal. And it will all come. If they estimated too high on the federal and state income taxes, that will come back to you when you file your income tax.
Now, if a teacher ends up leaving the profession before that 5-year mark, districts will be responsible for collecting a prorated portion of the funds, around 20% of the signing bonus per year from the teacher. Reporting live, Peyton May, Fox 25 News.
Thanks, Peyton. Lots of sunshine again for today, but our temperatures were cool, especially this morning where we had many locations that were able to drop down into the 30s, including here in the metro. But now we are still enjoying those nice sunny skies, and eventually our temperatures are going to be warmer, especially as we go later on into the work week. Right now with our Lucky Star Casino Skycam network, though, lots of clear skies out there, and temperatures are currently, or I should say, here's our visible satellite, and there's again no clouds out there, but our temperatures are currently in the low and middle 60s, and a few spots over in the Panhandle as well as in southwest Oklahoma are currently able to get into the upper 60s and low 70s. Compared to yesterday, our temperatures are warmer by about 5 to 10 degrees or so on average across the state. And we're still expecting a cold night for tonight where lows are still going to drop into the upper 30s and low 40s. There's another frost advisory for the northern part of the state for tomorrow morning. Does not include the metro area, but you'll then see that by tomorrow afternoon, our temperatures will be much warmer, back closer to average with some low, middle, and even a few upper 70s out there for our highs. So it's going to be a warmer day for tomorrow, and the winds will also pick up a bit more too. So we're still chilly for tonight. We have a cold front that will come through on Wednesday that won't give us any chance for rain. But overall, though, our forecast is looking to be warmer than average. Wendy, back to you.
A Del City High School student is arrested for reportedly bringing a gun to school. According to the principal, school administrators were notified about a student who might have a gun in their backpack. When that student arrived at school, the principal says administrators searched the student's bag and found the gun inside. That student was taken into police custody. The school says that student will not be returning for the rest of the year. Norman police arrest a man after he was found asleep in the ceiling of a Brahms.
Yep, keep going. There you go. Have a seat on the floor when you get down.
There you go.
All right, y'all good?
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, Face that way. Put your hands behind your back.
Police were called to the restaurant on Robinson Street about a man who broke into the building's ceiling and was living inside. After talking with Norman Fire and police, Philip Hickman came down, and as you see there, he was arrested. 2 people are arrested for robbing a man waiting in a Taco Bell drive-thru. This happened near Southeast 29th and I-35. Police say 2 men, Martin Cervantes and Michael Rodas, were approached the victim and asked a question in Spanish. The victim couldn't understand them, and that's when police say Cervantes pulled out a gun and got into the victim's car and drove off with him inside. A short time later, they let the victim go in a nearby neighborhood. Both suspects were later found and arrested. Oklahoma City police still searching for a suspect after a shooting sent 1 man to the hospital. This happened near Southwest 15th and Pennsylvania yesterday afternoon. Police found 1 man with a gunshot wound and say this all started with an alleged argument between neighbors. The victim was taken to the hospital and is expected to be okay. A suspect is in custody after an ambush shooting caused minor injuries to an officer on Friday. Oklahoma City police say Michael Wilson was taken into custody Saturday along Northwest Expressway. This all stems from a shooting Friday near West Wilshire and Lyrewood Lane. An officer was flagged down by a person. Then while the 2 were talking, the suspect nearby started shooting. The officer was hit by shrapnel, but is expected to be okay. Oklahoma City police are investigating after 2 people were killed in a weekend shooting. When police arrived at a home near Northwest 36th and Penn, they found Charles Ingram and Andre Neal shot in the backyard. Ingram was pronounced dead at the scene. Neal was taken to the hospital where he later died. Police say no arrests have been made at this time. If you have any information, call Crime Stoppers. These colder temperatures might have you thinking about lighting a fire, but Oklahoma City Fire Department warning you to be cautious and aware. Crews responded to a house fire over the weekend. This is a look at the scene near Northwest 90th and Harvey. Officials say a backyard fire pit spread to the grass and moved toward the house and fence line. 1 firefighter was hurt when some brick siding fell on his leg. The holidays are right around the corner, and shopping online and having your purchases delivered right to your door is a no-brainer for many. It's an option, though, some thieves are counting on us Oklahomans to take. Lauren Henry with our sister station in Tulsa shows us how we can protect ourselves.
People take advantage of this time of the year when they know people are starting to order more stuff, getting ready for Christmas and other holidays along the way.
Bell says consumers can utilize the secure drop-off options offered by some delivery services.
It's called Key. It's a new service that Amazon offers where you can actually download an app, and it allows them to open up your garage door with that app so that they can put your property inside the garage and then they close it. What that does for you as a homeowner is that you know when somebody's at your house putting stuff inside.
Bell also recommends reaching out to trusted neighbors who may be able to keep your items safe until you can collect them later.
You can contact your neighbors. If you know you're going to be away for the day, contact your neighbors and say, hey, would you mind if I had my delivery dropped off at your house instead of mine? Can you hold on to it till I get home?
Bell says most delivery services will give customers the option to send packages to a more secure location.
It's usually UPS, USB, the United States Postal Service. All those offer a chance for you to send your deliveries to another location. Or probably the one that most people don't like to do, which is you just tell the post office, hold on to my stuff. When I get off work, I'll come by the post box.
That was Lauren Henry reporting. Bell says other methods like door cameras can help keep thieves away, but he urges people to report any suspicious behavior in the area so police can respond quickly. Norman's new transit center is officially opened, and with the new center comes new changes for the Norman bus service. There are new routes and schedules starting today with connections to the new center. This project completes the final piece since OU asked the city to take over its public transit system in 2019. Norman voters later approved a sales tax, much of it going to replace the aging fleet. The city of Norman is partnering with Embark, which means there are now 51 different bus routes across OKC and Norman. Today, the National Auto Body Council gave away some cars to local veterans in need. The giveaway was part of their Recycled Rides program. Council's been hosting the effort since 2007 and has given away $42 million worth of cars. Multiple groups work together to make this happen.
This is an organization that we work with the industry, with our insurers, with the shops, with the manufacturers and suppliers, and all of them donate their time, their money to the National Auto Body Council and to the Recycle Rides program.
One of the recipients says this car will be a significant help for him as he moves closer to the city. Killers of the Flower Moon, filmed right here in Oklahoma, comes out this weekend. The film features stars Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro and was directed by Martin Scorsese. It follows the story of Osage tribal members being murdered after oil is found on their land in Oklahoma during the 1920s. Oklahoma Christian University is hosting the author who wrote the book Killers of the Flower Moon, David Gran, for a free community lecture. Leaders from the Osage and Chickasaw nations and the FBI will also join in for a panel discussion. It starts tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock. Cherokee Nation hosting a drive-through vaccination event tomorrow at the One Fire Field in Tahlequah. The flu vaccine will be available to anyone 3 years and up, and the COVID-19 booster available for those 12 and up. This is happening from 10 to 2, and you can learn more at health.cherokee.org. The 37th annual Oklahoma Commerce and Industry Hall of Honor is welcoming 4 new members this week. It recognizes business and community leaders who have made significant contributions to the growth and the development of the state. This year's honorees are Clay and Louise Bennett, Kristen Chenoweth, and Cherokee Nation Chief Chuck Hoskin Jr. They'll be inducted this Wednesday at the Oklahoma City Convention Center. We're just over a week out from Scissortail Park's new trick-or-treating experience, Scary Tail Park. It's happening October 26th through the 28th, and it's free for park members. Families can enjoy candy stops that feature characters from stories, plus there will be crafts, pictures, entertainment, and more. For non-park members, admission is $10 for kids ages 3 to 16 and $3 for anyone 17 years and older. It is homecoming week at OU, and we've got your back with a reminder about some changes coming to the homecoming parade this year. That parade now happens Friday at 8 p.m. It'll feature glow-in-the-dark materials and electric lighting. The new route will go north on Elm, turn east on Boyd, and then south on Parrington Oval. It'll end with the floats lining the North Oval. The House Republican Party on Capitol Hill is still in disarray. The party is frantically trying to find a new leader. While he's not currently the frontrunner, Oklahoma Congressman Kevin Hern has shown his interest in leadership roles. Tyler Butler with our sister station in Tulsa spoke with a political analyst about Hern's possible future in these stormy waters.
Well, it looks certain that Republicans had a new speaker in Steve Scalise until he decided to step down from the potential role. Now Jim Jordan has come forward, but his name is not one without any baggage attached to it. That could potentially cause him to not have enough votes to get the speaker role. So what about the third name that's been floated this time around, Oklahoma Congressman Kevin Hern? Well, I spoke with Tim Gilpin. He's an attorney here in Tulsa and political analyst. He actually ran against Hern in 2018. He believes the problem that Hern will run into is the fact that he doesn't have enough relationships built up already. He's only been on Capitol Hill for 5 years. And Gilpin says it's unusual for someone still that new to Capitol Hill to have a major leadership position. That usually comes after years of greasing the right wheels and shaking the right hands.
One congressman helps other congressmen in their caucus, whether it is giving contributions to their campaigns or their PACs, or raising money for them. And I just don't know if those relationships have all been formed for Congressman Hern yet. But in this scenario where everything's up in the air, literally like throwing everything up in the air, it's tough to say if he has enough relationships, enough support to be that dark horse compromise candidate. I doubt it, but maybe he'll get another position in the caucus.
Gilpin says another Oklahoma representative who could potentially be good for that role would be Tom Cole, just someone who has a lot of seniority, someone who's been in leadership positions in the past. He's someone that has more of the traditional background you would expect going into a speaker position, but his name, at least at this point, has not yet come up. And Gilpin says all this has to be resolved pretty quickly because, again, remember, there's a government shutdown coming in a little over a month from now, and not only is there an active war in Europe, there's now an active war happening in the Middle East. So the gridlock in D.C., he says, needs to be resolved fairly quickly.
And that was Tyler Butler reporting. Congress's dysfunction is hurting the Biden administration's aim to provide Ukraine more assistance. So now the president is getting creative. According to Axios, the U.S. wants European officials to use interest on $200 billion worth of Moscow assets to boost aid for Ukraine as it beats back Russian forces. This after the U.S. sent more than 1 million rounds of confiscated Iranian ammunition. Getting more aid didn't get any easier after Israel was attacked, but Biden says the U.S. can help both countries.
The most powerful nation in the history, not in the world, in the history of the world. The history of the world. We can take care of both of these and still maintain our overall international defense.
A White House request for more money for border security, Ukraine, Israel, and even Taiwan is expected this week. Meanwhile, the House is still without a speaker, and a looming potential government shutdown next month makes another aid package even more difficult. The terror attacks in Israel have American law enforcement concerned about copycat attacks in the U.S. As Fox 25's national reporter Kayla Gaskins reports, the FBI is already seeing a rise in threats.
With tensions rising in the Middle East, the head of the FBI warning of possible attacks on U.S. soil related to the Hamas terror attacks on Israel.
In this heightened environment, there's no question we're seeing an increase in reported threats, and we've got to be on the lookout, especially for lone actors who may take inspiration from recent events to commit violence of their own.
Christopher Wray's warning Saturday came a day after a Hamas-backed global day of jihad, which didn't result in widespread violence, but had some like New York Mayor Eric Adams calling for extra attention from law enforcement.
We must remain vigilant. We have directed the NYPD to deploy additional resources to our schools and houses of worship.
The Middle East conflict also causing renewed concerns of U.S. border security. U.S. Customs and Border Protection reportedly says they've arrested 4 Iranians who are considered special interest aliens so far this month. CBP uses that label to identify non-U.S. citizens who potentially pose a national security risk.
We do know that there are actual threats coming into the United States across the southern border.
CBP data shows this year alone, 153 on the nation's terror watch list were caught trying to enter the country via the southern border. That's more than the previous 6 years combined.
So you see this dramatic upswing in terrorist individuals, at least on those watch lists, having entered the country in just the first couple of years of the Biden administration, not accounting for people who weren't intercepted that might be coming in.
Director Wray says threats against Muslim and Jewish facilities are both up. The FBI also working with joint terrorism task forces to identify and address any possible danger. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
Former President Donald Trump is leaning into his administration's foreign policy record as he continues campaigning. Amid the ongoing tensions and violence in both Israel and Ukraine, Trump says those wars would not be happening if he were president. He blames both wars on President Biden, saying the world sees the U.S. as weak and ineffective.
But now we have death and destruction all over the planet because we have the worst and most incompetent president in the history of our country.
Trump also claims the Biden administration is weaponizing the Justice Department against politicians and religious groups. The federal judge overseeing the 2020 election subversion case issued a narrow gag order on Trump. The order bars him from making statements targeting prosecutors, possible witnesses, and court personnel. He is still allowed to make comments on the Justice Department and political rivals as long as they're not related to the case. Special counsel Jack Smith's team said Trump's comments risked undermining public confidence in the court system and tainting the jury pool. Trump's lawyers, though, argued a gag order would violate his First Amendment rights.
We've been below average here for the past few days, including today. We've had them kind of just stuck in the 60s. In fact, as we all know, it was very cool over the weekend. Now, we do expect there to be still some cold conditions here for tonight, as our lows will be in the metro around 40, but a lot more of the state will be in the upper 30s again for tonight. So there's another frost advisory for the northern part of the state here for tomorrow morning. But the overall trend for much of our forecast this week is actually to be above average. So we're basically just kind of cold for tomorrow, cold for tonight, I should say. We're close to average average for tomorrow, and then the rest of our forecast is actually above average here by quite a bit, especially as we go towards Friday and the weekend, with highs that'll be in the low and middle 80s here. So our next weather maker will be a cold front that will be coming on through, and it will come through on Wednesday. So we've got a high on Wednesday, if you remember from the previous graphic, of about 79. We'll be back in the middle 70s as we go into our Thursday, but there's no rain associated with this cold front for us here. So it's an overall very dry forecast here for the next 7 days. In fact, the only spots that are likely going to see any rain here will be in the northeast part of the state, so more of Tulsa's side of the state. Again, that will be for Wednesday when the cold front comes on through. So we've got average temperatures for tomorrow. The winds will likely pick up though a bit later on in the afternoon tomorrow into the evening. That will help to bring us above average with our temperatures close to 80 for the highs on Wednesday. Here comes the cold front Wednesday afternoon. We'll have our temperatures drop only a little bit though, so the northwest winds likely won't do a whole lot of damage here with our temperatures. And then, like I said, for us here as we go into the end of the work week, the weekend, and early next week, temperatures will be in the low and middle 80s above average. And we're probably going to be in that above average category here for the second half of the month, but we're also likely going to be above average with our rain too. So even though this next 7-day period will be dry, as we head towards the end of the month, there might be some more opportunities here. So about the 24th, there might be a chance for some spotty showers and storms here. More of those chances here going later on into that week there. And again, just going later on into October, we've got the chance here for maybe a few rounds of showers and storms. So we're quiet for this next 7-day period, but over the next 2 weeks after that, the end of the month, there might be more activity. For tonight though, clear with a low of 40. For tomorrow, we've got a high that'll be topping out around 73, so it'll be near normal for tomorrow's highs. The winds will begin to pick up a bit more. You'll notice we get to 79 Wednesday, 75 then on Thursday, and then it remains very warm for Friday, the weekend, and early next week.
There's a new weapon against the common and contagious virus that may change the hold that RSV can have over young children. The American Lung Association says the new treatment is a monoclonal antibody. The CDC recommends it for all babies younger than 8 months. The antibody is also recommended for some children between the ages of 8 and 19 months who are at higher risk of severe illness because of a pre-existing condition. Most people, including infants who get RSV, have only mild symptoms similar to a cold.
It gives an extra layer of protection to these babies. So if they get RSV, they won't get as sick. Right. Now it's readily available in pediatricians' offices, and it's also available in Department of Health clinics.
The CDC also recommends adults over 60 talk with their doctor about the RSV vaccination, as older adults are at increased risk for severe RSV illness as well. All eyes were on the skies over the weekend to take in a rare celestial spectacle nicknamed the Ring of Fire eclipse. Millions in North, Central, and South America were in prime viewing position, taking in the visual phenomenon where the moon, unable to completely block the sun, instead left a blazing ring of light around the edges. Sky watchers in New Mexico were treated to a double high-flying visual feast as the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta was capped off with the eclipse encore. Experts say it's the last of its kind over the Americas until 2045. Take a look at AI's idea of a walking robot. It's an effort to better understand how artificial intelligence models think. Researchers tasked one with a challenge, designed a robot that can walk. Well, in no time flat, the model spit out a design for a squishy 3D printed blob packed with pockets that, when fueled by puffs of air, propel the cube across short distances. The results of the exercise thrilled the researchers, and it could open the door to all kinds of AI-powered robot designs in the future.
Interesting.
I know. Pockets of air. Who knew? The empire of a man who created cartoons, movies, a mouse, and his house turns 100. Walt Disney began his climb to an entertainment dynasty 100 years ago today. Disney's start began by signing a distribution deal for live-action animated comedy shorts. His most famous character, Mickey Mouse, debuted in 1928 as Steamboat Willie. And from there, films and characters we all know came alive from the company's creative geniuses. And here's a look at what's coming up tonight on Fox 25. At 7, it's Kitchen Nightmares. At 8, it's Special Forces World's Toughest Test, followed by the Fox 25 News at 9.
100 years with Disney.
It's hard to imagine that really wasn't that long ago that we started with just Mickey Mouse and he wasn't even Mickey yet.
Yeah, Steamboat Willie, yeah. We've got a great forecast here for this week, very dry, and we are looking at temperatures warming back up again. So if you're not exactly totally ready for the frosty conditions like we had for us the past couple mornings, we've got one more night to go tonight. The rest of our forecast looks to be pretty warm with the 80s returning by Friday.